Welcome to our Pakt Aero Travel Backpack 35 liter review. If you're in the market for a lightweight travel bag, then you've come to the right place. In this video, I'm gonna take my experience of reviewing 500 of the world's best bags, and we're gonna break this bad boy down and pack it out, talk about the honest pros and the cons, and in the situation that you like this bag, but you're not quite sold on it, you're gonna wanna stick around to the end of the review, where I'll make some alternative bag suggestions that might better suit your needs. Let's talk about the gist of the Pakt Aero Backpack 35 liter. And I'm really excited about this review because I think this is gonna be one of the biggest and most important bag drops of the year. Biggest because if you don't know, Pakt is a US-based carry brand, and they're known for making really great travel gear. Often usually on the feature heavy side, but their travel duffel and their original travel backpack are both pretty iconic in this community. But the second reason I think this is gonna be one of the biggest bag drops of the year is that I think this bag is going to be a catalyst for what's sort of happening in the backpack world and community. As to where 10 years ago, as the world of backpacks was really starting to emerge, we were seeing a ton of bags that were very feature heavy. And features on backpacks are awesome, but features on backpacks also equal weight. So we went into this era of really heavy travel bags, and now people are kind of sick of super heavy travel bags, and the pendulum is swinging back to the light side, and Pakt is one of the first brands that I think they're really getting like the wind in their sails and kind of getting ahead of that curve. Long story short, I don't think Pakt will be the first brand in the near future to be launching a lightweight travel bag. But even though this bag is lightweight, impressively so, it doesn't mean that it's lacking on features. Let's talk about them. We've got X-Pack-like material for the primary fabric, which we'll talk about in depth in a second. 1, 2, quick access pockets in the front. Pakt's signature suitcase clamshell style opening, which for me personally, I'm a really big fan of the way that they designed this. We've got side handles that allow you to carry the backpack in suitcase mode, luggage pass-through holder, stowable compression straps, and a harness system that I think is going to be very controversial. And I'll explain what I mean in regards to that 3 chapters from now. As of recording, the Aero comes in 3 color options. Now let's talk about the overall size and the dimensions and how it relates to travel. We've got a back panel height of around 20 inches, a width of around 13 plus inches, and a fully packed out base depth of around 10 inches, just a little bit under. But the good thing about this travel bag is there's no padding in it, which means that the fabric is very malleable, not very stiff. So if you underpack it and you want to hit a certain airline's dimensions, it should be able to fit into that little box thing a lot easier than a more structured backpack. Now this bad boy is marketed as 35 liters capacity, which is great for one bag travel, depending on where in the world you're traveling, right? Because with those dimensions and that size, if you're doing some flying in like Asia, Australia, and budget European airlines, they're gonna make you check this bad boy. But for the less stringent airlines, you should be fine. And let's put that volume to the test. Now, as we're filling this bag out, I wanna note one thing Pakt has done a tremendous job of is ensuring these front pockets have their own independent volume. Like really, really impressive in that regard. Now, I'm also gonna say as I'm packing this bag out with our Backpack Factory approved system, is that this is a very difficult bag to gauge its volume because you got so many sections, and that's also just gonna equate to a more interesting, let's see, I think I could definitely fit more in here. Packing experience, oh yeah, we can fit a lot more in there. As to where this isn't your typical like clamshell style single compartment backpack. Okay. I have no idea if this is gonna close. Yeah, I think we're gonna, okay, cool. We pushed it to its limits. Now, time to measure it. So right now we've unloaded the main compartment on both sides of the divider. Front pockets are still loaded, and you can see we're at 5, 10, 15, 20, around 25 liters capacity just in those 2 sections. But keep in mind, the front section is being interfered with these balls a little bit, right? So this is the kind of complicated part when it comes to volume, especially when there's a bag with lots of pockets. But the whole goal is to get a gist of the usable space that we have. So let's test the front pockets as well. So for the top pocket, fully packed out, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So you got almost 5 liters of capacity in this pocket. It's a monster. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Psh, we're right at that 35. Margaret's smirking. She's like, wow, nailed it. So as you can see, the way that the capacity is distributed, a little complicated, and you might not always feel like you're gonna get 35 liters out of it, but balls don't lie. All right, next up, let's chat about the weight, which is easily the biggest selling point of this bag. 35 liters, 2.3 pounds. First up, let's verify that. So I'm getting 2.5 pounds on scale number 1. Let me double check that I didn't leave anything in the bag. Nah, dude, this thing's empty. So, I'll see what scales 2 and 3 say. So scale 2, just under 2.4 pounds. And scale number 3 is 2.43 pounds. So 2.5, 2.4, 2.4, somewhere around that range. Which, I'll be honest, is really impressive. And that was clearly the design brief of this bag, to make it as lightweight while being as feature heavy as possible. And that ratio, 35 liters to 2.4, 2.5 pounds, is what I'm really hoping the future of travel bags continues to do, right? Because heavy travel bags, they're not fun, dude. They're no fun. But having said that, there's still one thing about this bag that really irks me. We'll talk about that in a few chapters. This is the bag when it's empty. And here's the bag fully packed out and worn on the Nomads Nation squad. For reference, I'm 5'8", and our media manager, Margaret, is 5'2". And don't worry, we're gonna pack out this bag throughout the entire review so you can see exactly what it fits. All packed bags are covered by their lifetime warranty against manufacturing defects. And based on our experience of reading all the comments on this channel, Pakt seems to do a pretty good job of honoring that warranty. And for all that, the Aero runs around $260 US. And if at any point during this review you're thinking about making a purchase or you want to learn more information, we highly recommend doing so using the first link in the description below. Reason being, that link makes sure that you get the best price, and we oftentimes have discount codes. But that link also helps support the Nomads Nation YouTube channel and team so we can keep making the best bag reviews on the web. So if you appreciate like the leader testing and all the scientific tooling we're trying to do to bring these reviews to the next level, we would really appreciate it if you use that first link. Thank you so much. All right, let's talk about the front of the Pakt Aero travel backpack 35 liter. Starting with the aesthetic, and here's the deal, I adore Pakt's original aesthetic for their original travel backpack. And the Aero builds off of that aesthetic, but it isn't quite as fresh and as clean. 2 reasons why. Number 1, on the original travel backpack, it utilized like a canvasy type fabric. And number 2, that canvas fabric had a lot of structure built into it. So therefore the bag just looked cleaner. Versus this bad boy, you're dealing with an X-packing material with no additional padding, which means it's gonna kind of, go with the flow. But that's what you want in a lightweight travel bag. So if you're looking for the sexiest travel bag in the world, lightweight's not always the way to go because it's gonna kind of get a little warped sometimes. But the good news is that this fabric is awesome. Let me tell you why. If you've ever seen a sailboat sailing the seas, then you've basically seen this fabric, as it's a 750D polyester yarn, and it's popped in between a 210D ripstop nylon face and a 65D polyester taffeta backing. And all that is just fancy talk for this is basically the same fabric that sailboats use for their sailcloths, which was brought to fame by a company called X-Pac. Now, this is not X-Pac. It might look like X-Pac, but X-Pac is made from the brand Dimension Polyant. So this is sort of inspired by X-Pac, but in theory, it should have the same function as to where it has a really nice structure to it and is going to be stupid weather and abrasion resistant. But what can annoy some people about X-Pac-y materials is that crunch, that classic X-Pac crunch, which you are either going to love or hate. Let me know in the comments below. Does the X-Pac crunch annoy you? Do you not even hear it? Let me know your take on the classic X-Pac crunch. Pakt's branding, super low key. Always appreciate that. On the outside here, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 external lash points. These could be used to clip things on externally to the front of your bag, but they're actually probably more properly used for the compression straps on the sides, which we'll talk about in detail in the next chapter. So let's talk about these pockets. Well, before we do, we have this little tab right there, which provides a little bit of a reflector element. A little extra safety there, thank you, Pakt. But onto these pockets. Well, first of all, let's talk about this lining. The lining is going to vary from color to color. So the black has this clay-like color in there, which I absolutely love. I think black and brown is like my favorite combination. This clay with the black, it just works so well. In the bottom pocket, we have no internal organization. And the top pocket, we've got some additional organization right here with this admin station at the top. Remember, each of these pockets are like 5 liters in volume in themselves. And that was even with the main compartment of the front side packed out. You get what I'm saying? So we're gonna go ahead and pack these pockets out with a few things. So you can see I got some bulkier items here. Let's say you have like your DOP kit from Bellroy or a tech pouch. I believe that's gonna straight up, fit into this bottom pocket. So if it can hold bigger things, it means it can also hold smaller things as well. One thing to note is this rain flap right here. Very nice for obviously protecting your gear from rain, but the zipper can get snagged on it. That's not a testament of this bag. That's just really any rain flap in general. They kind of have a tendency to get in the way. So you can see in the bottom pocket, we're big enough to hold a book and that DOP kit. So you got volume to work with, baby. Key leash here, non-removable, but actually, it is removable technically, but I wouldn't F with that personally. And you can see again the top pocket, big enough for your hoodie, like that. Or as you can see when I was using the bag outside, big enough also for your over-the-head headphones. These pockets are gonna be one of the biggest selling points of the bag. So much versatility, so much volume, so well designed. And now we're gonna leave these fully packed out as we transition into the next section so you can see what they look like on the inside of the main compartment to get an idea of the volume distribution. Oh wait, one more thing I missed. We got a little hanging loop right here at the bottom of the bag. Yeah, which is good for like a bike loop, or you can hang maybe like a water bottle onto it if you want. And that should be it for the front. Yes, let's talk about the middle of the Pakt Aero travel backpack. On this side, we got a water bottle holder, which I'm a big fan of because it's a beefy water bottle holder. I got a 1 liter Yeti. We're gonna test out if it fits when the bag is fully packed out. And I'll explain then the compression straps to you in detail. On the other side, we have these briefcase handles. Now these handles were one of my favorite parts of the original Pakt travel backpack because the design was so cool, so unique, so refreshing. And they're duffel guys, because Pakt's first product was their one duffel, which is like probably the best travel duffel I've ever reviewed. And they implemented some of that duffel-like principles into their original travel backpack, and carrying the original in this mode rocked. It just worked so well. This version though, not quite as much because we're losing some of that structure, and these handles are a lot thinner and less padded and just kind of meh, which is obvious though, because Pakt needs to cut down on the weight. Overall though, these handles do provide a nice alternative carrying solution, especially when you're at the airport. You got your bag down, you don't wanna have to like put the bag on every time, you know, it's here. You gotta move 3 inches to the next spot in the line, waiting to sit in your seat on the plane. You know what I'm talking about. That's when these handles are pretty awesome. Now getting into the main compartment, let's talk about something that's a little less awesome, is the fact that Pakt decided to use a PU-coated zipper for the primary main compartment. Now, I assume all these zippers should be YKK, and of course they are. And I'm a little shocked by this because Pakt seems quite ahead of the curve in regards to them knowing that things are moving in the direction of lightweightness. And it also, like, it's not like they just like looked into a magic ball, like closed their eyes and predicted this. Like they stated that they've gotten a ton of requests from their community for a lighter weight bag. So props to Pakt for listening to their community feedback. But if they're ahead of the curve, one thing I gotta admit is the PU-coated zipper here doesn't make sense to me because they didn't put a single PU-coated zipper anywhere else on this bag. Nowhere on the front, nowhere on the back, just in the main compartment, which seems A, a peculiar place to me to put the PU-coated zipper, and B, again, just looking forward, a lot of bag brands and consumers are moving away from PU-coated zippers because while they are more weather resistant, they can look like this and peel over time. Not a guarantee, but I'd say more likely to happen than not, especially if you have additional exposure to sunlight and extra humidity. All right, Pakt zipper pullers. Love these little guys. They're colorful, they give the bag a little bit of life, easy to unzip. I will say for being PU-coated zippers though, these are not too sticky. Oftentimes though, a PU-coated zipper like really is like engaging your wrist. PU-coated zipper day is wrist day for most bags, but not for the Pakt. Now let's talk about the whole design principle of this bag. Is where you have 2 sections of the main compartment. This bad boy, non-see-throughable, and it also houses the laptop sleeve. Checking in here, no additional organization. And then same on the other side, no additional organization. The divider is this mesh, which is not the nicest mesh. It has a little elasticity to it. Not much, barely any. But the mesh is nice because in essence, you can kind of have all your clothes in this section, because you don't really need to see like what you put there, because you know it's just your clothes for when you get to your Airbnb and hotel, you can unpack. But then you might have smaller bits of gear stored in here, and you do want to have sort of like a visual with them. So let's go ahead and pack the bag out so you get an idea of how it works. Like I said, for this side, I'm doing packing cubes. I got a big old packing cube right here with about a week's worth of clothes. Smaller one here, week's worth of underwear, socks, under tees, and then we'll do a pouch right here. Now this could be your DOP kit or your tech pouch, right? We'll just pretend it's my DOP kit, because I actually have the DOP kit in the front, but pouches are all sized the same these days, right? And the good thing is, like, yeah, the pouches are actually sized the same, and packing cubes are kind of sized the same. These are just regular, standard size packing cubes. You can see, zipped in, good to go. Flip it over to the other side. Remember, these 2 pockets from here and here are fully packed out. So you can see how the volume is gonna be slightly compromised versus if this pocket was empty. You can see now a lot more space, right? So these 2 compartments will fight for volume with each other. but not terribly so. Like I said, I stand by my earlier statement. These two front pockets are one of the biggest selling points of the bag. One thing I want you to note too is look right here where we have what is actually the back of this primary fabric, which shows Pakt's dedication to lightweightness on this bag. Because most bag brands, like let's say Tortuga, in the main compartment will have an additional lining, which gives the bag a more luxurious feel, look, and presentation, but it adds weight. Pakt said, "F that, no additional lining." In this pocket, I'm gonna throw my Nintendo Switch 2 case. We just got this. It's very weird for me to say that. I'm not much of a gamer, so any of the gamers out there, if you appreciate our inclusion of this, let me know, or did we do it wrong again? Y'all Switch fans, you're very high maintenance. We're trying our best. Got the Evergoods tech pouch. We'll throw some shoes in there, and that's gonna basically handle it as to where, yeah, dude, that's my trip. I got an extra pair of shoes, couple tech pouches, some tech stuff, bunch of clothes, but let's talk about tech a little bit more in detail with the laptop compartment. Now this is very interesting because no bags I've ever seen have like a central laptop compartment like this. Maybe some duffels, but never on a backpack. And that's because, again, Pakt has sort of taken duffel mentality and applied it to a backpack, which is why their travel bags are so cool. I got a 17-inch Asus VivoBook right here. We're gonna see if this guy fits. And I think we're just gonna sneak it in. Wow. Holy crap. So that's the biggest laptop we have. So I don't even have to do the other ones, because if you're 13-inch, or you're 16-inch, or you're 15-inch, or 40, you get it. Smaller than 17 inches will fit. 18 inches, I'm sorry, not gonna make the cut. I love this little section right here. It just kind of gives a nice little feel. It's a really nice fabric. I think Pakt's fabric game for this bag in general is actually really nice. You know, because you're spending almost $300 US on this bag. You want to just kind of give you a little bit of delight. So this fabric, it doesn't feel like the highest, most premium quality, but I think at the price point, I'm okay with it. But it's little touches like this fabric right here, very nice, little elasticity. The color just makes me smitten. The whole thing works. And then for laptop protection, you can see if we zip this effer closed, and I have packed this thing out. Holy crap. Thank God we have YKK zippers. Otherwise I would fear some breakage. Now with the laptop, we're right here in the middle, which means we're protected on either side, which is awesome. Most travel bags are gonna have back access right here. But Pakt said, not up in here. But that is gonna compromise your access to the laptop as to where you're not really gonna be able to grab this. I mean, it depends on the size. Larger laptop, gonna be really difficult to grab. You're probably just gonna have to open this thing. Yeah, laptop access, it's kind of annoying in this main compartment, but it's protected and secure. Now, before we get back to this guy, Pakt has also given a couple additional access points to the main compartment. This guy in the front, right here, giving you access to that front half of the main compartment. So you can say, oh, Evergoods cap 0.5, I needed you, thank you. And then we also got one on the back, right here, which again, quick access, like, oh, JSD Bombas pouch, gotcha, right there. Oh, I didn't miss this too. We have a little secret hidden pocket here. Could be a good spot for your passport. My guess is that this is some RFID protected pocket. Let's see if my suspicions are correct. I see nothing about RFID, but could be a good little spot to put your passport. Like I said, maybe your boarding pass. Not super quick access, but quick enough. Top handle, gets the job done. Decent enough space to grab. It's average. I also want to do one last depth test for this thing absolutely packed to its extremities. And you can see we're actually, I said 10 inches before, but now we're getting closer to 11. You know, but then again, because of the lightweightness of the bag, if you're not like decking this thing out with stuff, it will decrease in depth. All right, let's talk about some of the side stuff of this bag. First of which, the bottom. We got a handle here. This serves one purpose when the bag is popped in the like bin overhead and you put it in backwards. This handle, very, very nice to have. Pakt, not gonna lie, like this thing is decked with features for how lightweight it is. They're bare bones features, you know, but dude, I'm loving this thing. Minus a couple of points which I'll talk about in a second. For the water bottle holder, I got a 1 liter Yeti. You can see this bad boy is in fact fitting, but it's a little bit tiny, this water bottle holder. At the top here, we're good. We have 9 inches of height, but at the bottom it tapers down and we got 6 inches of height. But Pakt said, worry not. That's what these little guys are for. And you can see in here, we have stowable compression straps, which allow you to do 2 things. 1, weave through your water bottle, pop it into place, therefore giving you water bottle security. Upside down test, you can see we are good to go there. But also in the situation, like I said, you're on a more stringent. Is that the right word? Strict. You're on like Ryanair or something, right? An airline that really measures in the little box, and you're a little outside of those dimensions. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of these bad boys, which allow you to compress the bag down a little bit. Now, we have the bag fully packed out. I'm not gonna do it now. They work. Only one thing to note that's annoying about compression straps is that when this one's connected to here, is it does interfere with the opening and closing of the main compartment zipper. Final note. This is not a great self-standing bag. Doesn't matter which way you kind of do it or pack it. Any bag can self-stand if it's just packed out the right way and you lean it against it and it doesn't move right. This one's not a very good self-stander though, which for me in a travel bag, not that big of a deal, but again, something to keep in mind. Now, before we jump into the next section, I gotta let you know that if you are enjoying this detailed, possibly too detailed, but let's say enthusiastic breakdown of the Pakt Aero travel backpack, you might be a bit of a gearhead. And if that's the case, I want to let you know that here at Nomads Nation, we don't just do epic reviews on our YouTube channel, but we also have the Nomads Nation newsletter. And in that newsletter, it's kind of like a deep dive into this incredible industry. I'm talking about the newest drops, limited edition collabs, plus exclusive access to our discount codes, giveaways. It's just kind of me keeping my finger on the pulse of this incredible industry and delivering straight to your inbox all the news you need to know in the world of everyday carry and travel gear. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, we'd love to see you in your inbox. And you can sign up to the newsletter by finding this globe emoji in the description below. Okay, let's talk about the back of the Pakt Aero Backpack 35 liter. And although I've been overjoyed by this bag so far, this is where things are gonna get a little bit more on the critical side. First up, let's examine this luggage pass-through holder, which not my favorite. It forces you to put the bag on its side, but also sometimes for larger bags, that's the right call because they're really tall. Anyways, you can see this is a really nice luggage pass-through holder. Like, as you saw, this bag is fully packed out to the brim, and you're able to slide that on really easily. And because it's integrated into the entire back panel, I'm never afraid like it's gonna pop out. As long as you're cool with the bag going sideways, this is a very well-designed luggage pass-through holder. But what's not as well-designed for me and my personal preferences is the comfort of this bag. Now, here's the deal. I'm not gonna say it's like an uncomfortable bag, because everybody's bodies and shapes and preferences are all different. And I've learned that from reviewing hundreds of the world's best bags and responding to tens of thousands of comments. Everybody has different comfort preferences. For instance, I can't stand Peak Design backpacks. I think they're very uncomfortable. And while a lot of people agree, a lot of people love the comfort of Peak Design bags. So when I criticize the living crap out of the comfort of this bag, keep in mind that this is just my preferences. But I find this bag pretty uncomfortable. Reason being, let's start with these shoulder straps. They are thin, dude. Now, we talked about the Tortuga previously. Let's sort of compare and contrast shoulder strap design. Because I love the shoulder straps of the Tortuga backpack, and here's why. Now, for the width, we're around the same, 2.5 inches on both bags, I'd say, which I think is great. But the problem is the depth of padding. Here you have Tortuga. You can see on the back, and we've got this juicy, chunkalicious padding with a really nice depth and rebound to it. Tortuga is not the only brand who does this. I think Aero is another great one, TomTok. Even Cotopaxi has like a really nice amount. This is a little bit more stiff, but I think it's still okay for my preference. Pakt, on the other hand though, dude, these are kind of cardboardy. I haven't seen shoulder straps this thin on a travel bag in a very long time. By thin, I'm referring to the depth. And you can even hear it in terms of just like the denseness of them. You know, you do this with the Tortuga, I don't know if the mic's picking it up, but believe me, touching it, don't laugh, Margaret. Touching it and like hearing it in person, they just feel extraordinarily different. And just to further emphasize on the depth of these bad boys, you can see right here our little millimeter measurement guy, we're at about 9 millimeters, which normally we can't even get this on a shoulder strap. So for instance, here, we can't even measure this guy. Okay, the Tortuga. And comparing that to these other travel bags, yeah, these are far and away the thinnest. So I'd say the shoulder straps are easily my least favorite part of the bag. Back panel, I'm a little bit more forgiving with. This is also not my favorite type of back panel, as it's a little bit harder. Let's say compared to like a TomTok bag, they use a little, like a softer, mattressy type of fabric. So you can't, knocking on this one. Stop laughing, Margaret. And then, knocking on, see, they're different, okay? Now for me, I don't mind a stiff back panel as much. Our media manager, Margaret, though, really dislikes a stiff back panel. But again, I think this is sort of an interesting observation as to where this is where Pakt had to make their sacrifices. Because I don't think you can get a 35 liter bag that's 2.3 pounds, that is feature heavy and has like a ton of comfort, right? Or padding and comfort. Because if you look at this Tortuga as an example, so much of the weight is here and here. So sacrifices have to be made. I would say these shoulder straps are, what's a brand that they're kind of close to, Margaret? Good call. Yeah, I'd say they're kind of in line with Peak Design in terms of how much padding they have. I'd say Peak Designs are a little, yeah, they're right around the same for me. But they can do one cool thing. That's where you can unclip them at the bottom here and stow away the shoulder straps. Now this is one of those really cool features where you're about to board your plane and you don't want the shoulder straps like flapping all over the place. So you pop the shoulder straps in and you go into briefcase mode, just less dangle when you pop the bag in the overhead bin. But as a con for these is, and not just this bag, but any bag that has stowable shoulder straps, is this clip right here at the bottom. When you're wearing the bag, sometimes you can feel the clip. It's a compromise, right? And just keep in mind with any bag, there's always a pro and a con with every design choice. So the con here is like sometimes these shoulder straps can like sink into the body a little bit more than it would on other travel bags. Now, some good points in the comfort is that we do have a sternum strap here with a dangle stopper, easily adjustable too. Unfortunately though, no dangle stoppers on the bottom of the shoulder straps. Keep on protesting, little guy. They'll listen to you one day. And we got a little bit extra comfort by this hip belt here. Now it's not really a hip belt as much as like a hip band, but actually when I was wearing this outside for the past 30 minutes, I actually was kind of surprised by it. On the pro side, it's a little bit lower than a lot of hip belts are, like these kind of hip belts. A lot of times you get like these hip belts and you put them on and they're like up, like north of the belly button, and you're like, what are we doing? What is this accomplishing? But because of the length, or height, I would say, of the packed bag, I'm able to get this on my slender 5'8" body, right to where it needs to be. And as I was wearing it outside, this really took off a lot more pressure than I was expecting it to for my back and shoulders for just a nylon band. Overall, I give the comfort like a 2.5 out of 5. It's not that it's uncomfortable, but longer distances, these shoulder straps, you're just gonna feel them, right? Because this is where, for me, I feel them. As to where you have this weight of the bag and it's pulling down right here and there's not really a lot of padding going on there. Two last notes for the back is that we have these external lash points right here where you can clip things on externally to your bag, but we don't have any hidden back wallet pocket, which for me I think is okay, but I know some of you out there, like your travel bag needs to have like a zipper right here with a zip that you can pop your passport, wallet, and boarding pass. Most modern travel bags have this. Pakt chose to skip it on this bag. I hope I didn't miss it because I feel like they would have one. Nah, I don't think so. That should be it. And one last note on the comfort of this bag. If you want to see if anybody else finds it comfortable, or you just have any questions about this bag or any bags in general, a good spot to ask is not only in the comments below, but also in the Nomads Nation subreddit. We've got a huge community of bag nerds there, and somebody will probably help you out if they actually have had this bag and tested it out. All right, let's talk about the overall pros and the cons of the Pakt Aero travel backpack. Pro number one, obvious, is gonna be just how incredibly lightweight it is. Pro number two, for me, volume of these front pockets, and just sort of the volume of the bag in general. And pro number three is just the overall design and user experience. It operates in a way that's very different and unique, but not in a way that's gimmicky. Like, it just really works. But on the flip side, I have some cons. Con number one is gonna be really challenging access to the laptop compartment. Con number two, the lack of like a back pocket for your passport and boarding pass might be a deal breaker for some of you out there. And con number three for me is gonna be the comfort of the bag, to a lesser extent with the back panel, but definitely with the shoulder straps. Not my preference when it comes to the comfort of a travel backpack. But let's say you're still watching this. You might think to yourself, Aaron, I actually like thinner straps. I don't like those big, bulky Tortuga straps. That, I'm still grabbing one. And you're gonna pick one up. Just a reminder, we do recommend you do so with the first link in the description. That link makes sure that you get the best price, and if we have any discount codes, that's what they'll be. But if you're not quite sold, let me give you some alternative recommendations that might better suit your needs. First up, if you're new to the channel, I recommend watching our Nomads Nation leaderboard video. This is where the whole Nomads Nation team comes together and we pick our favorite bags in distinct bag categories so you can get an idea of what the best options in the market are, including our favorite picks for the top travel bags. You can watch that linked above. But if we're pretty close with this bag, here's two alternatives that might just be a little bit more up your alley. Alternative recommendation number one, I referenced it a few times down there, is the Tortuga travel backpack. There's a Pro and a Lite version. This is the Lite, and it's great because while it's not as lightweight as the Pakt, it's still light-ish, but it's got insane comfort. It's one of the most comfortable travel backpacks we've ever reviewed. and it's super functional as well. And alternative recommendation number 2 is going to be the Bellroy Lite travel backpack. Another super light travel pack. This one has nowhere near the amount of features as the Pakt. Like, it's really bare bones, but again, super lightweight, and I would say more comfortable shoulder straps across the board. Really, it's impossible to get a bag that's like perfect, that gives you everything, right? There's always compromises. But if you're not quite sure about this guy and you want to learn more about the alternative recommendations, you can do so by just watching these videos right here. I'm gonna leave them on screen for a second so you can pick which one interests you most. In the meantime, just a reminder, if you have any questions or comments, you can just let us know down below or in the Nomads Nation subreddit, where me and a bunch of other gearheads are always nerding out about our top picks. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Aaron, this is Nomads Nation, and we'll catch you guys next time.